folks. Really super short video here on the resurrection of Osiris. We're going to have a module on ancient Egyptian philosophy. So in order to do that, Egypt is a very complex, very, very old society. We need to be kind of exposed to it a little bit at a time. The resurrection of Osiris is a great example of how the stories that people tell one another influence the society at large. And so we're going to start with the resurrection of Osiris. It is a much discussed, much heralded story from ancient Egypt. So Osiris becomes the god of death in ancient Egypt. And in fact, once someone was dead, they took on his name. So it would be, John Osiris would be your name once you're dead, and that's how people would refer to you. Okay, but let's get going with the resurrection of Osiris. So Isis and Osiris descend to earth from the heavens to civilize Egypt. And while Osiris goes to teach the world how to be civilized, Isis is watching and keeping her evil brother Seth, or Set, there on the right, in check, because he's just a rough customer, right? Well, what ends up happening is Seth tricks Osiris into climbing into this box. It ultimately becomes his coffin. And as soon as Osiris gets in there, boom, Seth nails down the hood and then throws it in the river. He throws it in the Nile, as a matter of fact. And he drowns in it. And so Egyptians believe that people who drown in the Nile were sacred because the Nile River was itself sacred. And so this myth is likely the origin of this belief that drowning in the Nile is this kind of noble way to die. So after Osiris dies, Isis journeys to Byblos to recover her husband's body, and then she returns with his body to Egypt to bury it properly. Seth finds the body of Osiris and then hacks it into 13 pieces and scatters them over the Nile. Isis and Nephthys go and they find all these pieces except for the phallus, and they reassemble Osiris. They put them all back together again except for one part, like kind of not like a Frankenstein, but sort of like that, right? His phallus is eaten by Nile perch, these fish. And I heard an Egyptologist suggest that they were electric, and that might be related to the origin, but actually I've never seen anything that says that Nile perch are electric or they have an electric charge. Okay, so the fish in the Nile eat his phallus, so that's not going to work, but Isis still breathes life into her husband, and he gets resurrected, and he's the first person to be mummified. He is, according to Egyptian tradition, the first mummy. Now, one thing that we will learn about ancient Egypt, and you'll see it in the quality of their philosophy, they are a profoundly sophisticated society, and they also wield a great deal of power. And people will often ask, well, gosh, why didn't they colonize? Well, you're looking at it, right? They placed, at least one of the reasons, geography probably played a part, but also the myths that they told themselves affected how they structured their society. And they placed a great deal of value in being, if you die, you must be buried on Egyptian soil. And so that's why Osiris, he's got to be taken back to be resurrected in Egypt. And so it's thought that although the Egyptians were this massive, grand civilization, they didn't colonize the way that Romans did, and their stories actually affected the course of history. Okay, so that's enough for now. We're in good shape. Believe it or not, you got enough to take your quiz, so go get them. Peace.